Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let us start our biology class again, and the topic to be continued is microorganisms, friends and foe. Till now, we have already studied about these microorganisms, how they are useful to us and how they are dangerous. They can cause us harm. In the previous sessions, we have studied this thing well enough. We have found that these organisms can be harmful in two major ways. First is by causing the disease, and secondly by spoiling the food items or other usable items. Now let us continue that we have studied already that how the diseases spread. These organisms which can cause the disease, they are infectious diseases, right? The disease-causing organism would be known as pathogen, and such type of disease would be known as infectious disease. And we have studied that how these spread from one person to the another. Now further, after studying these means of spread, now we are studying the different types of diseases or some common examples, some of various diseases which are caused by the microorganisms in human beings, in other animals and in plants. And also we will understand that how these could be prevented by taking several precautionary methods. So this first slide is showing us several examples of organisms which are causing the diseases. In other words, we are highlighting the various human diseases now. So the first category of microorganisms which can cause disease is bacteria. We all know what is bacteria. These bacteria, they are unicellular prokaryotic organisms, and they can grow in our surroundings in air, water and soil. In the previous session, we have studied the means of spread could be either air, water, vector, or it could be a simple touch also, a direct contact or the indirect contact with the patient. Now let us understand what are the examples of the diseases which are caused by the bacteria. The very first given here is tuberculosis, cholera and typhoid. Now only these are not the three diseases caused by the bacteria. The list is so long. For example, tetanus, for example, diphtheria and so on. But let us understand few examples and we will just highlight what happens in these particular diseases. So this tuberculosis, the name is something very common. You must have heard about it. Commonly it is known as TB also. So this tuberculosis is basically caused by the specific bacteria. It is a mycobacterium. The special class of bacteria or a specific agent which can cause the disease is called as Mycobacterium. Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So this specific bacterium is responsible for causing the tuberculosis disease. So do you know what happens in this particular disease or how this organism can attack us? So generally, this particular organism enters our body through air. When we are coming in the contact with the patient or in the unhygienic condition, it may enter our system, generally through nose. So you can imagine if any organism enters through this route, that is your respiratory system, then definitely the target site is most probably the respiratory system only, because nose is directly contacting your respiratory system. And respiratory system is still which organ? It is lungs. So normally this tuberculosis, it is known as lung disease. It is similar to pneumonia in general terms if you want to understand. But don't get confused. It is similar, but still there are the differences. Can you think of what specific kind of symptoms could be generated in such diseases? Tuberculosis, initially the symptoms are like fatigue. The patient feels very tired. It may have fever and the temperature may be fluctuating. It's not high fever, mild fever and internal weakness. The person will experience the weight loss, coughing, sweating during night. All these are some common symptoms which initially occurs in this particular disease. So further, it may have continuous coughing and the cough may also get decolorized. Besides the cough, it may have certain blood droplets or blood particles also in that. So this is what happens in this particular disease. Now this TB or tuberculosis is not only found in the lungs. It may take place in other parts of the body also. For example, in the bones, for example, in the lymphatic system and so on. But the direct communicable, the one which is directly communicating from patient's contact, is the one which is in the respiratory system. Reason is because when we breathe out, these mycobacterium comes out in the air in the form of droplets, along with the droplets. And then if they are inhaled by another healthy patient, it may also get suffered. So this is one of the important disease caused by the bacteria. Precautions should be taken if we want to avoid the disease. The best way is to get vaccinated. Besides, even if this disease occurs, then what happens is there is a treatment for that also. So not a case of worry here. Another disease example is cholera. Cholera, it is a waterborne bacterial disease. And the microorganism behind this particular disease is Vibrio cholerae. We can just highlight, we can write it, spell it out here again. It is Vibrio cholerae. CHOLERAE. So this organism is responsible for another disease. In this particular, the symptoms are like diarrhea. The person is having excessive dehydration. Now there are many diseases in which the similar symptoms are observed. Like normal diarrhea, dysentery, they all are having this type of symptoms. Like loose motions, then we can say like vomiting, stomachache. Many similar kind of symptoms are common in several kind of diseases. But the difference is the causing agent. For cholera, the specific agent is Vibrio cholerae. And the difference here with cholera and other diarrhea-like disease is the organism behind that, the consistency of the stool sample. In this case, the stool sample is actually very watery and the content of water is so high. Besides, it is, we can say, the consistency is somewhat like rice water. You must have seen that starch water, a sticky kind of thing which is very liquid, which is very dilute. Along with that, it is having fishy smell. So this indicates that a patient might be having cholera. Same thing is true for the vomit sample also. So this is the indication that person is having this particular disease. But indication is not only the way for starting the treatment. If we go for the blood test, then this blood test will be the confirmation for the type of disease. Another disease which is caused by bacteria is typhoid. Organism which is responsible for it is Salmonella typhi. Commonly we call it as S. typhi. So this is another organism which is causing the bacterial disease. Typhoid, you must be heard about, you must be knowing well enough about this. Now this particular disease, that is typhoid, it is bacterial and it spreads through water. Besides, flies may also be responsible for spreading the bacteria. How? They will sit over the samples and they will stick it and will transmit to the food items or somewhere which may be directly used up by the living organisms or the human beings. And this is further responsible for causing the exposure to the pathogen. So, in this case, what are the symptoms? Initially, we can understand like we are having a headache, backache, diarrhea. Then it is extended with constipation. Then loss of appetite. Besides this, after this initial symptom, we are suffering from the temperature or with a high temperature. That is, we are having fever. But this temperature is not constantly high. In this case, the temperature fluctuates. in the organism. How? It occurs during morning and evening hours, and then it may be normalized. But frequent and fluctuating fever would be there in the patient, and it will continue for a very long time. Besides, one more indication for typhoid is the white patches which are appeared on the tongue. So even this is one of the indication. But again I repeat, indication is not only the proper way for diagnosis. Further, if the symptoms are there, the blood sample has to be tested in the pathology labs. And in that, if S. typhi is found, then definitely the cause is this bacteria. So this is what happens in the typhoid. And is of course treated with the help of several drugs and the antibiotics. Now further, another class which can cause the disease is virus. Virus, examples quoted here like measles, chickenpox, polio, and so on. Again, there are so many diseases. The common cold, even that is caused because of the virus only. Besides, like we can say coughing. So coughing is not only caused by the virus, but it may also be caused by the bacterial infection. So one has to see the proper symptoms and the consistency of these samples or the cough, which is going to give us hint about the type of causing agent. So further, in case of measles, what happens here is the patient is having continuous cold. It begins with normal colds and coughing. Then further, we feel some sore throat. We feel dryness in the throat. This is further continued with the conjunctivitis. That is, there will be redness of eyes. So this redness of eyes, definitely if your eyes are getting infected, it becomes more and more sensitive towards the light. So such patients they will be more sensitive towards the light. Now after that, in the later incubation phases or later, the different symptoms will also arise. What type of symptoms? Like, it may be like rashes throughout the body, or grayish spots in the mouth, in the mucus or in the surrounding region. And then the patient is suffering with the high temperature. So these are certain hints or the symptoms which are found in the measles. Now generally it is cured itself. We can only take precaution in such type of diseases. Why it is so? Because virus, it is using the host machinery for its own survival. So if we give any antibiotic against this, then it is also going to affect the human host system. So there is a limited range of antibiotics which could be given against such viruses. The other example is chickenpox. We are very much familiar with this. So this chickenpox, again the virus, chickenpox virus is responsible, and in this case we are having itchy blisters all over the body, and this is also accommodated with another symptom, that is temperature or high fever. Besides, some people may also feel vomiting kind of symptoms. And definitely the patient, there is no particular specific cure for it. But definitely there are certain drugs nowadays available in the market, in the medical shops, which could be taken by as prescribed by the physician. Further, another disease is polio. Now polio, although it has been eradicated from the country, but program has to be continued, immunization program, because even if a single patient is there, then the disease may get spread. The reason is because it spreads so fast through air, through contact, through fecal material, through the mucus of the patient. There are so many ways by which the polio virus can spread in our surrounding. So precautions against such type of diseases is vaccine. These vaccines for measles, chickenpox, polio, all are available. They are included in the childhood immunization program. So they should be given at the proper time. Besides, another class for disease-causing microorganism is protozoa. So these protozoa, what are they? These are the eukaryotic unicellular organisms. So these can include the diseases like malaria, sleeping sickness, and so on. So we all know what these malaria and sleeping sickness is. We have already studied about these diseases. Malaria, sleeping sickness. These both are actually caused because of mosquito bite. But mosquito is not the only reason behind the malaria. It is actually caused because of the protozoa which is present in the saliva of a mosquito. For malaria, it is Plasmodium. There are different strains of this Plasmodium which are found in the saliva of female Anopheles mosquito. The sleeping sickness is caused because of another particular protozoa, that is Trypanosoma. So this Trypanosoma is responsible for causing the sleeping sickness. Now in case of malaria, symptoms are very general and we are very much familiar also. We are having fever, high fever with shivering. Then we can have some digestive problems also, like vomiting or a sort of diarrhea also. In case of sleeping sickness, if a patient is infected by Trypanosoma, then the patient is feeling dizziness. Its nervous system is attacked basically. They feel so much dizziness that they cannot wake up properly. So they keep on sleeping for a very long period of time. And of course, they are having a little bit swelling over the different parts of the body. So these are certain general diseases caused by the microorganisms in human beings. The causing agent and the symptoms of such diseases are being highlighted. Now further, another important thing is they could be checked out. That means we can prevent these diseases either at the time when it has not occurred through vaccination, or if it has taken place, then we need to take proper treatment. And generally the treatment includes the use of antibiotics. For viruses, there is a limitation for antibiotic as the range is not so broad. But bacteria and protozoal diseases, they are having enough broad range of medicines. Now, the diseases could be caused even in the animals. So we can say like it is anthrax. Anthrax is a very dangerous disease. It is found in human beings as well as in the cattle also. So they can cause diseases in these two besides like goat, sheep, horse, even they could be the victims of such a bacteria. Now the bacteria which is infecting or which is causing this disease is Bacillus anthracis, and it is generally life-threatening too. What happens in it may attack the organism or the host in various ways. For example, it can directly cause infection over the skin, or it may cause the respiratory system. It may affect the respiratory system, or it may cause infection in the intestine also. So we can see that route is different in either these three cases. If it is a skin infection, then outer skin is actually exposed to the anthracis. Besides, if it is respiratory, the bacteria is entering into the body through the nose. Further, if it is gastrointestinal, then in that case what is happening? Gastrointestinal, that means your alimentary canal. So it is entering through your mouth. So the symptoms that is going to be generated would be varied. If it is skin, then in that case blisters are observed, there are rashes over the body, and this definitely causing the swelling in the body, and along with that fever is also observed. In the respiratory system, then the symptoms are going to be related to lung diseases. Further, if it is gastrointestinal, then diarrhea or dysentery or stomach ache or vomiting, those are more prominent. And these are actually the initial symptoms which may take a fatal, they may become fatal also. So these are generally causing the death of the organism also if initial symptoms are not observed. And the problem is that initially anthrax is not observed. It is not taken it in that way easily. Now these type of bacteria, they were used during the war also. These are used as a weapon by several countries. Now they spread these bacteria in the field or over there, and the soldiers become the victims and they get the disease. So this is how these particular bacteria, they are even used as the weapons also. And of course the problem is very, very serious because the human is involved, cattle is involved, and it is highly epidemic. If it begins in one patient, it may spread so fast in the surrounding region also. Besides, the another disease which is commonly found in the animals is foot and mouth disease of cattle. Now generally, this particular disease is caused by picorna virus. It is more common in the hoofed animals. Now you can imagine which animals are having hoof, horseshoe shaped structure over there. So these are actually feeling, or they are having the exposure to the virus, and they causes blisters in the mouth and feet of hoofed animals. So these are some common symptoms for FMDV disease. So thank you so much. Have a great day.